And welcome everybody to this week's edition of Beyond Belief, the Art of Strange Mentalism. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Dr. Michael Likey, and we have our other host.
Hi, I'm Tommy Bennett.
He is the man who knows far too much. I've added in far too much, and you're loved and appreciated. Someone else who's loved and appreciated is our very special guest this week, Franklin Williams, who is actually Frank Zizanus II. How are you doing this day, Franklin?
I'm doing fantastic. Really excited to be here and talk to you.
It's an honor. It's exciting to get you on finally. I'm just going to start with a review, a quote. I think it's from your website by Richard Jones. Frank has an amazing gift and brings such laughter to those around him, unquote. And you are a man of many, many talents, Frank. He's the creator of the shows Legends and Legerdemain, Stories for the Heart, storyteller, an evening of inspiring and mysterious storytelling, and also the author of Authentic Fabrications, which we'll have to talk about a little bit later. But as an introduction, Frank, in case those of you who've been living in a cave, we're going to show a brief performance when Frank was on a Friday Night Wizard Emporium. So it's not too long, everyone. Do enjoy Franklin Williams.
I'm always very inspired by my friends in magic with how creative they are and how many ideas they have. And I came up with a way to actually store my ideas. It's right here, this little tube right here. You see, whenever I have an idea, I like to put it in there. Now, ideas, sometimes they start out a little bit not quite fully formed. They're a little bit squishy, you might say. So I leave them in my little idea box or tube, as I say, and I keep letting them sit there for a while. But then eventually I have another idea. And I continue this process, which is all about creativity. Sometimes I'll be sitting there thinking, and right on my beard will come an idea. You know, this is just how ideas happen. Ideas just work this way. But you may notice that there's probably more ideas in here than can fit inside of this idea box. Well, that's the magic part. Sometimes I'll walk around in my magic library and look around. I'll see a book and I'll go, oh, I haven't read that one in a while. Maybe there's an idea in there, and there is. Now, eventually, these ideas they start to solidify a bit to the point where they actually can become a solid ball, right? Like so, very solid little ball. And I would bounce this, but you guys wouldn't be able to hear it because Zoom has a filter on it. And often I'll carry that idea around with me for a while. I'll typically keep it in my pocket just to keep thinking about it a bit. But ideas and creativity are not meant to be carried around just in your pockets. They're meant to be shared. Because if you're truly wanting to do something magical and creative, you're going to want to light other people's paths along the way.
Very good. I love that. So naturally, we're going to segue into the creative process, Frank, because storytelling is all about creativity. It's all about forming perhaps a concept, or perhaps the concept is already formed and the story is worked around it. Going to ask you a little bit about your creative process when creating an effect or adapting an effect. How do you do it? What's your process?
Well, typically my process starts with wanting to spread a particular message or wanting to say a particular thing. And then I look around at my magic collection in my magic books and I go, what effect can tell that story the best? And then I try to adapt the handling or change the props around if I need to in order to tell that story. Um, Other times, it begins with the effect, seeing the effect and going, you know, there's something there. There's a story to tell with that beyond the one that comes in the instructions. And then I start writing a story. And one of the major points of my creative process is I really believe there are no bad ideas during the development process, but you discover which ideas don't work.
Uh,
So there's no bad ideas. There's just ideas that won't work or won't work yet for this particular piece.
Very good. Everything's for a reason as well. I believe, because of my spiritual beliefs, that creativity is God, for lack of a better word. Some people may or may not relate to that word. We can call it higher power, whatever you wish. But I believe that inspiration is God-given. I believe it flows through us if we allow it or if we become aware of it. And so everything relating to creativity is at a higher level. And I agree with you 1,000%. At that moment or at that time, it may not be relevant, the idea or the inspiration, but I tend to jot things down just in case and then come back to them later or maybe remember it that way a little bit in the back of my head. Now, I understand. I want to shift a little bit to Jeff McBride, your friendship with him or your working with him, and how he has influenced you personally, performance-wise, perhaps even spiritually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jeff is a friend and my mentor, and we have a really good relationship. And when it comes to magic, he's inspired me in so many ways, not just with taking an effect and making it simpler if I need to, or replacing one sleight with another one because he's a encyclopedia of magic. He will tell you, oh yeah, you want to learn this sleight, it's in this book on this page, and sure enough, that's where it's as long as you have the same edition of the book that he does. And he inspired me a lot to go deeper in my storytelling, which I'll actually tell you kind of how I got involved with Jeff McBride initially. There's a piece that I'm kind of known for now, which is called Dreams for Shaden, which is my version of the torn and restored thread, gypsy thread, Hindu thread, whichever you prefer to call it. And originally, I wrote that piece for just two people, my son's therapists. And when I showed it to them, they said, you have to do this in your show. Well, at that point in my magical development, I was not quite ready to put something that deep and heavy into my show. But I thought, you know what? I'll ask somebody who I've heard is really into storytelling. So I sent Jeff the script for Dreams for Shade and I asked him, what do you think of this? And he said, what I think of it is I want to work with you. And we started working together in a mentorship capacity. And from there, all the other pieces of storytelling magic that I've come up with have all been filtered kind of through him. And he doesn't filter magic the way a lot of magic teachers or other magicians who think they're magic teachers will filter things. There's a tendency in the magic community to be extremely harsh with people. When somebody shows something, people will immediately go, ah, that's garbage. Just do it the way Jennings and Vernon did it. Nothing wrong with the way Jennings or Vernon did anything for them. But that's not me. It's not who I am. Whereas Jeff will start with, okay, I see where you're going with this. I like this about it. I like that about it. Let's change this, which is a much better way to give feedback and to teach people because it starts from, I see what you're trying to do, not, eh. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, no one wants to be stifled. Their creative process or their ego doesn't need to be stifled and then they'll become defensive and all. I was taught when teaching start off positive, then get into the details and stuff that, could need enhancing or changing or fixing, and then end positive again. So it's positive, work, positive again. And apparently it sinks in. It's a little bit more, it enables the student, if you will, to take in the criticism or the critique or the suggestions. But we're all students, aren't we? No matter where we are in our performance level, if you will. And I hate to call it level because that suggests, lower, higher rung, all that sort of thing. Even at my tender age of almost 70, I'm so excited to keep on learning and progressing as well. Is it the same with you?
Absolutely. And that's something else that Jeff taught me. Um, I was very surprised when we first started talking that, I mean, Jeff, he has every reason in the world to have a massive chip on his shoulder. He's won all kinds of awards, traveled the world, and all of that. But he'll talk to somebody who's been doing magic for 3 weeks the same way he'll talk to somebody who's been doing magic professionally for 30 years. And there's no ego. It's literally just talking magic and talking shop as if though they're on the same level because they're both students of magic. Now, granted, Jeff is a student who is studying something extremely high level with very advanced skill sets, but we recognize that the student who's been doing it for 3 weeks is working just as hard. It's just a different set of skills that they're working with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the creative process generally, but in any of the arts. Um, it says here, Frank, unless my research was wrong, you're the author of Authentic Fabrications. What's that all about?
Yeah, Authentic Fabrications is my first in a series of potentially 3 books. But Authentic Fabrications is the beginning and foundation of storytelling and magic. And the tagline of it is smoke, mirrors, and truth. Because I feel that, as I think it was Max Maven who talked about how magicians have done something amazing over the past 20 years, they've taken something that was a beautiful art form and made it trivial. And I know I'm paraphrasing. I really want to see magic become viewed as the art that it can be. And Authentic Fabrications was my way of kind of showing the magic community here's some classic effects with really deep stories behind them that are personal. And several essays as well in that are to talk about things like I have one essay in there called Attack of the Cormans, which is about how often magicians imitate to the point where they forget who they are. And you'll watch them on stage, and they'll be Michael Lamar 1 minute, Eugene Berger the next, and then Charlie Fry, and then Gaza, all within the same show. So you never really get to know the performer. And I really wanted to put it out there and say, hey, we can do magic this way. And I've seen it and I've done it, and here's how. So, yep, that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important for us to also, in addition to not losing ourselves, unleash, if you will, our true selves on stage. And therefore, we become unique. We're already successful if we are being ourselves, as opposed to being a Copperfield clone or whoever clone and trying to emulate them. It's a good starting point. I think many of us started by being inspired by Mark Wilson or Copperfield or Doug Henning or whoever, and then you kind of run with that. If you're doing magic enough, then your own personality, hopefully, tends to come out. And honestly, that's when I had the most quote unquote success was when I was being myself. I was this medieval character on my TV show years ago, Magic Mike's Castle. But I really believed that was me. I love medieval things. I love making medieval props and clothing and all of that. And I had long hair. I was also emulating the Robin Hood or Robin of Sherwood in the UK series. I liked that the most, that portrayal of Robin. But it struck a chord for me and enabled my real self to come out, and it did in performances. I wasn't in my head Harry Anderson while I'm presenting this trick, who I really loved and admired as well. So it's really important to fully reel yourself in, if you will, and be yourself. Have a really clear image of who you are. How do you share that with people, with young or old magicians?
Well, the main way I try to share it is by just doing it. Being uh, I've been told I'm really, really brave to do certain pieces of magic because they're extremely personal. Um, and I try to teach other magicians by literally showing them this can be done this way. Uh, Obviously, my Egyptian thread is one way that I show that. There's another effect that is also in the book that shows a very deep story that is not my personal story, but it's the story that I wish had happened. And that particular piece is called Familiar, which is my version of the classic Nielsen Vanishing Bottle,
Ah,
where I tell the story about a young man's journey into alcoholism and recovery from it. So when the bottle disappears at the end, there's a good reason for it to disappear because he doesn't need it anymore. Um, and that is a piece that I've done several different places over the years, but it's not a piece for everyone. So I do try to show other magicians that if you're working for this type of crowd, I do not do these particular routines. But I have other ones that are still personal stories that are fun, like Jason's Wish, which is my coin and bottle, where I pull a coin out of my youngest son's ear and he puts it in his mouth because he was 18 months old and make him spit it out. But I still want him to have the coin, just he can't have it yet. So I put it into a bottle so he can see it. So yeah.
very good. And we're going to reiterate, we're going to mention this near the end. Where can people find or buy authentic fabrications?
The best place is Amazon. It's on Amazon. Uh, just Google authentic fabrications, Franklin Williams, and or not Google, but you can do that too. But just put that into your Amazon search bar and it'll come up. And it's
Excellent.
I tried to make it accessible to everybody, so it's got hardback, paperback, and ebook.
Beautiful. We'll mention that again near the end, along with your website, etc. I want to turn this over to Tommy because I sense that Tommy has tons of questions. Tommy has a mentor as well. And I want to see if there's an overlap in either styles or techniques or attitudes as it pertains to you, Frank, as well as Tommy and your mentors. So I'm going to give you that high five, Tommy, and uh, here we go.
It's funny in real life, you're actually over here, so I have to go this way.
That's
Anyway,
right.
yeah, our mentors have many similarities. They work together a lot, um, and there's a gathering that I believe was started by Jeff called Magic and Meaning. Um, and my mentor is Kenton Nepper, and he speaks at that event every year, as far as I know.
Yep,
Um,
almost every year.
yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Um, they have differences too, but I think the similarities are uh, there are more similarities than differences. Um, so, Kenton, for example, for me, uh, taught me that making a connection is probably the most important thing of magic. How would you, Frank, define making a connection with your audience?
Yeah, I absolutely agree that making a connection is the most important thing in magic. And the way that I try to do that is by telling stories that are relatable to pretty much everybody's human experience and letting people know that they're seen. One of my, I guess, mantras, if you will, or one of my big why I do magic is if I do a show and one person in that audience takes something away from that show and feels better about their life or feels like they're not alone in a certain thing, then I've done my job, which I know is a little bit counter culture to many magicians who say if one person doesn't like or if one person likes my show, nobody else does, then it's not worth doing. Well, I kind of see it the other way around. But of course,
Yeah.
I want everybody else to have a good time. But yeah, magic is an extremely powerful art form for connection. Some of my favorite times I've done magic was for one person who was having a problem. I happen to be a father of a special needs child.
Yeah.
And whenever I meet somebody, especially dads or special needs dads, I show them Dreams for Shading one on one.
Mhm.
And the number of people that I've had over the years who go, oh man, I thought it was just me. That right there. That's why I love magic.
Mhm. Mhm. And I love the fact that you uh, try and make things personal, like your effects personal, because that's a great way of connecting to it. God knows there's so many people out there that have similar situations that we go through because we're all human, right? And
Mhm.
it's another thing that I've learned later on in my career is to not be afraid of, opening up and being personal. Um, I used to not tell people that I was born with cerebral palsy because I was afraid that, sorry, my dog is trying to walk behind me right now. Come on, come on. I was, well, I was afraid of being judged, is what it really was. Um, I remember the first time I opened up a, I opened up my show by explaining that I have cerebral palsy, and two women came up to me afterwards, telling me, "Thank you so much for opening up my younger brother has cerebral palsy," and you know, I was like, "Wow, I had no idea that that would affect people." Um, so I I say all that to say that I really appreciate your work, and I know you work hard at what you do. My last question is about creativity. I know Michael mentioned earlier about creativity. You're very creative, not only in picking the right story to go along with an effect or vice versa, but you're also very creative in creating the effect itself, like physically. Um, how did you get into because not all performers create and I mean, let me rephrase that. Um, Not all performers create their own props.
Right.
Yeah. But you are myself. We have. Uh, how do you start getting into that, and how has your creativity progressed in your I'm sorry, I'm formulating the question as I think. I should have written it down before, but I'm not as organized as Michael is. Um,
That's okay. I'm
I
not
think
either.
I think you know where I'm going. Um,
Yeah,
so maybe you can pick up on my
sure.
floundering.
No, no. I mean, if if I understand you correctly, what you're basically asking is when it comes to creating physical props, how did I get started with that? And probably why do I feel the need to do that when there's a bunch of props out there as well, maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
See, you
yeah.
see how simple that was? You see how simple that was?
Well, well, in the industry of creation, we call that development. So you have
Yeah.
your designer and you have your developer. Designers typically have the original idea and they put it on they make something quick, and the developer makes it better or edits it, actually. Better way to phrase that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So how I got started with making my own props actually comes from something else that I do that's creative. I'm also a published board game designer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
I published three games and was the developer on seven or eight other ones over the past decade or so.
Hmm.
Um, and when I wanted to make my own game, I had to learn graphic design software because I just
Hmm.
couldn't make it in Paint. Just wouldn't work. So I had to learn Adobe Illustrator to start with.
Hmm.
And that led me down the path of making what are called SVGs, which can be put into a laser machine. So a laser cutter can cut it in wood. I don't have the physical skill to be able to cut perfect straight lines. Well, the
Right.
laser does. And I also
Yeah.
got into 3D printing for that same reason. So in my creative space, I have actually I have two 3D printers now and a laser cutter, which makes it so that I can get an idea from, hey, would that work to in my hands, seeing if it would work within a matter of sometimes minutes, sometimes hours, depending on how big
Right.
the idea
Right.
is. And I I got into doing that because there wasn't a prop that existed for what I wanted to do. And I'll
Hmm.
give you a really good example of that. Actually, I have a packet right here that I actually use to demonstrate this whenever I lecture.
Hmm.
So there's a classic plot in Magic called Wildcard,
Yep.
normally done with cards like this.
Yep.
I do it with cards like this.
Hmm.
That's
Right.
yeah. And in this particular routine, instead of all of the nine of spades bringing Queen of Hearts, for example, in my routine, it goes from being doubt to hope.
Right.
So these cards
Hmm.
did not exist. So I had to make them. And it's called the Get Real deck. Because when
Yep.
Franklin
Yep.
Williams does magic, Franklin Williams doesn't do a lot of card tricks. But I love card magic. And I was doing card magic when I first got into magic. And even back when I was a member of Magic Castle years ago, I was a card guy. I only did cards. I didn't
Hmm.
do anything else. So I didn't want to waste all that time that I spent on learning how to do a second deal and all those things. So I developed a deck of cards that Franklin could use. And that's a big part of learning how to make your own stuff, is just not being afraid to try to learn it. Because so many people think that they can't do X, Y, and Z. And
Yeah.
believe me, if I can learn how to 3D print and how to do laser cutting and all that, anybody can learn. You just have to put in, you got to be willing to. Here's a big thing about creativity also. You've got to be willing to fail, but you've got to be willing to fail quickly or fail fast, as they say, so that you can get that
Mhm.
idea done, move
Yeah,
on to the
yeah,
next.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Very nice. Thank you, Frank. Yeah. That's all for me.
very cool.
Back to Michael.
Oops, I
And
missed.
what's really funny is on my screen, what's really
Oh,
funny is on my screen, Tommy is on this side of me and Michael's
Oh,
on
that's
this side of me.
hilarious.
So when you high fived, you went right through my head. So
it's maddening, isn't it? I want to go back to this. I think we chatted off camera before we went to air about the shows you created, Legends and Leisure Domain, Stories for the Heart, and Storyteller, an evening of inspiring and mysterious storytelling. Pick one and let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it looks like, what inspired it, and the elements in it.
yeah. Um, I'm gonna pivot just a little bit from the storyteller, because the storyteller show and the show I'm doing now, which is called Storytellers, is are very similar shows. The only difference is that I brought three of my friends with me, and we all tell stories. So what this show is it is a really small, intimate experience that's immersive, and that word gets thrown around a lot nowadays. I went to an immersive show, and it was literally a regular magic show. Uh, when I asked the performer afterwards, "Oh, what was immersive?" He goes, "Oh, I bring people on stage." No, 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 that's not what that means. But good for them. They got an audience. Uh, our show is we actually bring people in. There's 18 people max. They wait in a little lobby, and we come in and we talk to them, we hang out, we chat a bit, and then we bring them into one of the four rooms that we do our show in, because our show actually moves around these four rooms. Each room has its own theme. And the overall goal of the show is to inspire people to pick up that thing they put down. Meaning, if somebody messages me 2 weeks after the show and said, "Hey Frank, I took that guitar to the attic and I started playing it again. I haven't played since college." That's what we're trying to do. Um, and those four themes are something that you used to do that you had a lot of fun with. The second room, which looks like a circus, is something that you do now that you want to do more of for fun, that is literally just fun. You don't have to make money at it. You don't have to have a deep message with it. It's just what you do for fun. Then the third room is what we call the mystery room. That's where we start getting a little bit deeper, and we basically ask people, "What's something you want to know more about, that you know a little bit about, but you really want to get deeper into?" And then the final room, which we call the light room, finale room, because it looks like an Apple commercial in there. And what I mean is just all white walls. So that is what we call the legacy room. And in that room, each of us performs our most powerful piece of magic that we want to be remembered for, what we want it to be our legacy piece. I of course do Dreams for Shade. And that's where we ask people, what do you want to be remembered for? What's a cause that's so important to you that if people mentioned your name and didn't talk about how much that you loved this thing or this cause, that you feel disappointed? And now how are you going to use that in your life? And we end that show by doing the love ritual with the entire audience. Because in each of those rooms, the people actually write down on a card that thing. Then we do love ritual, and whatever the thing is that matches, that's probably what you should be pursuing right now. But keep the other ones too, because you want to pick those up later also. And that show started with just me wanting to tell people stories and inspire people. And then we ended up bringing on one of my friends and mentors who unfortunately passed away last year. But we do the show in his honor now. And then along my travels in magic and through mystery school, the other three performers showed up, and we're all different enough that we have a really nice texture to the show, but we're all able to still tell the same uh, story template, basically. Yeah. And what inspired us to do that is we all wanted to see magic done as an art. And yes, there is some fun and there is some funny in the show too. It's not all, serious, make you cry magic. Um, but there is that hint in every piece, that little hint of this means something. So yeah,
Beautiful.
that show takes us about 2.5 hours to set up when we go set it up, but it's worth the time.
Absolutely. I wish I could go see it. How can people see it? Where is this promoted? Is it on a website for people to register? How can
Yeah.
people register for this?
Well, the best way to uh, find out about that show is to follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Instagram is at Frank Mystery, and Facebook is Frank Susanus II, aka Franklin Williams. It comes up under both. And then we put up on Eventbrite is where we end up marketing, and
Excellent.
we put up the links to that. Whenever we do a show, about 2 months out prior, we start teasing it and putting up the link. And it's actually in Simi Valley, California, where I live, which is just outside of LA County.
Beautiful. I hope that one day you video record some of that. You don't want to give everything away, but maybe as teasers and put it up somewhere for us to view. I think that would be very, very special because be a performer, be it a workman of any kind, any vocation, man or woman, we all need inspiration. We all need hope, or we need reminders and a little bit of coaxing here and there. And thank goodness you and your troop provide that. I'm calling them a troop now. So you're
There's less.
appreciated, Frank.
Thank you. And I
And
appreciate you all as well.
oh, thank you. So that's the best way to reach you is through Instagram or Facebook.
Yep, that is the best way. Mainly because my website is still under construction again. Because when you reinvent yourself several times, you end up having to make new websites. So I
Absolutely.
just but my Facebook and my Instagram is always going to be the same. So it's good.
And just a reminder to viewers as well that your book, Authentic Fabrications, is available on Amazon. So look it up, get it. And I'm so excited and thankful that you did join us this day. And I want to remind our viewers
Me
out there
too.
as well that you're joining us on our March 6th show on a Friday. It's going to be very, very special. You'll be one of our about a dozen performers, but thank goodness you've agreed to come on. You'll add so much, Frank.
And it's awesome to be invited to do that. Oh, one more thing. There's another place that people can find me. Pretty much every Monday night, you can find me hanging out at Jeff McBride's Mystery School Mondays.
Excellent.
So,
I've been invited so many times, and I'd be honored to at least visit. So I
oh,
do
absolutely.
intend to show up sometime as well. Robina keeps inviting me, and Robina the Enchantress, aka. So
Hmm.
that's something to experience as well.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
if you have anything else to add, Tommy, I guess we'll wrap up and thank Frank again.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for joining us, and it's always a pleasure being with you. So, yeah,
It
Likewise,
is
Sam.
an honor.
Likewise.
It's a pleasure and an honor, Frank. And stick around, even though we're going off air in a couple of minutes. Stick around if you have time in our studio audience, because maybe our audience has some questions for you or they want to share something. Thank you once
Absolutely.
again, Frank Suzanis II, aka Franklin Williams. Be well, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there we go. Um, wasn't that incredible? What a good
it
feeling.
was. Yeah,
I felt hope. I felt a little bit inspired, thanks to Frank as
absolutely.
well.
Yeah, yeah, very
So
inspiring. Yeah.
totally. So this is the part of our show where we promote a little bit. Do you have, I know you just put up on Facebook your latest book again.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. We sold, I've sold over 100 copies. Yay!
Wow.
Um, and hopefully sell some more. So yeah,
It's
uh,
definitely one to catch. And I was so happy when I realized you're coming on next week as one of our guests. And so
yeah, yeah.
you'll
I actually
hopefully you'll
forgot.
chat
I
more
actually
about.
forgot. I forgot. But
Uh-oh.
yeah, I know, but I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Yeah. Um,
Right on. Because I want to learn a little bit about your creative process as well. You make the
thank
most
you.
gorgeous tarot cards. You make the most gorgeous printed items for your bizarre magic and mentalism as well,
Thank you.
available on your website, Taboo
MagicTaboo.com.
Baboo, magictaboo.com. Baboo. I
Yeah.
don't know why I said that. I'm being silly.
Okay.
Oh, gotta pop another pill. There we go. Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm serious again.
Can I have one?
Here you go. What a pleasure and an honor it is to co-host this with you, Tommy. I
Pleasure.
do want to mention we're both here, and actually in our audience, I know that Kevin, if he hasn't gotten bored and thrown up his arms and left, Robina the Enchantress, Kevin Peel, yourself, myself, and a veritable cornucopia of magical entertainers, including Micah. Micah just split. I saw that he was here as
Mhm,
well.
mhm,
Every Wednesday on Open Mic Magic Theater on Facebook. Look it up. It's on at 1 o'clock LA time, 4 p.m. New York time, 9 p.m. UK time, and I think the next day, 8 a.m. Australian time, but I could be
mhm,
wrong. I'm pretty sure, though, that's the case. And we have the Midnight Wizard Collective Gala with, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, about a dozen wonderful performers. So there's lots to look forward to this year, and I can't wait to get to formally meet you next week, Tommy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
quite
Uh,
frankly, you're a genius, I think. I believe you're the real thing, not a bottle of Coke, but the real thing. You know what I'm.
it's a real thing.
Oh, remember that? Oh my God.
Yep. Yep.
And also the other jingle, I'd like to teach the world. That was beautiful. I
Thing.
love
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
First, we have to teach ourselves how to think. Then, yeah, that's the hard part.
Absolutely. It's
Absolutely.
totally. Well, I
And
guess
I concur with Michael that Tommy is in fact a Jew.
there you go.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Once again, thank you, Frank, who's off camera right now, but at least he's around in our audience. Thank you, Tommy Burnett, so much for co-hosting with me. What an honor. And I want to thank all
An
of you
honor for
out
me too.
there as well for joining us. Only a couple more shows left, and they're going to be really, really good ones. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys all next Saturday, same time, same place.